You know, that was unfortunate. Not because it was Martin Luther King Day, but it goes to show you the level of, of, of disrespect that we allow in our community, unbridled and unchecked. But that might be one of his fetishes, to get whooped on and then go back to the woman that was being sexed by Mr. Love to get pampered. They do all sorts of weird things. Parental discretion advised. Because to me, you trying to prove to us that you hard, but you're gonna be trying to prove to that DA that you're a good person. Knock it off. You look foolish. You look childish. You riding in big cars, getting money. Stop personifying that image to people that really care without any self-control.
Welcome back to Wild Moguls TV. Malik Spellman, how you doing, brother?
I'm all wise and civilized. Peace to the gods and earths out there. Good seeing you again. Hope all is truly well with you. And you've gotten to the point where you've met some of your challenges with opening arms.
Okay. Let's talk about demon seed babies.
What you want to know about them?
Please explain the concept.
Well, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately and had some personal experiences in my own life that centers around not just some members that may be in your family, either distant or close, but more distant than anything, or some children or that you may have adopted, or a child that you may be raising, something of that nature, or just dealing with the fact of being a single parent, male or female, and having a child you're trying to keep on the right track, but yet they decide to go in their own direction, regardless to whom or what, and have a level of disrespect. Unlike other kids who have like a rite of passage or growing pains, but you have some that are fully cognizant of their behavior and their responses to their behavior. And we want to talk about them because those are what I call demon seeds. Okay. And when you're dealing with demon seed children that just won't change, you need to stop beating yourself up with the fact that, he's not going to do right or she's not going to do right. That's just how it is. And the reason oftentimes that we have demon seed type children with that type of behavior is because we don't really plan our relationships to have children. It's not a family plan situation.
So we just out here free fucking basically.
Basically, and then what happens is that there becomes a discrepancy amongst the mother and father if they ever get to be that close, in which the child just become rebellious. For example, there was a young sister that had assaulted some girl's mother in front of her. 15-year-old grabbed the mother. You guys are probably aware of it. Slapped the mother up, in front of the other child that she was having a discrepancy with. And consequently, the little sister that was slapping up the mother was unalive. I don't know if it was the next day or how far in the near future was thereof. But oftentimes, man, we got these kids, man, that's just not God based. I hate to say it. We work with all kinds of kids, man, that have done, some things that no one would ever think that they would be redeemable. But then you have some that are non-redeemable, that are just who they are. So I want these parents to know, like, you tried, man. You can't just go to hell with them, or you just can't take yourself all the way down. If they got a drug issue and they don't want to listen, or they want to hang around them people that's gonna take them to the penitentiary, you still got your life to live. So a lot of times, man, and this ain't nothing personal, but some of these kids, man, really, that you see that's not really kids, but they like adults. Because to me, anything that's under me at a certain point is considered a child. But some of these young adults that make the decisions that they make, that's just because their soul is depleted. So they don't have to wait till they get old to try to change. They just wicked inside naturally. And I got to be fair about it. We pipe on this show about different things and we give credence to all the people who are trying to, make a better way for themselves. And I'm not perfect. But on the contrary, my situation is as such. You know, some children are just non-redeemable. Some just have that spirit of shaitan, but those are not the ones we trying to just necessarily save. We will, but I want the parents to know, like, you did your best. And if you got an experience with a child like that, you know what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, hopefully they'll be adults one day, and then karma will catch up with them when they have children. Because all the hell I gave my mom, it caught up with me. Only thing, my kids don't have behavioral issues, but they still have growing pains. I want to talk about some of the other kids that was at the Martin Luther King thing. You know, that was unfortunate. Not because it was Martin Luther King Day, but it goes to show you the level of 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 disrespect that we allow in our community, unbridled and unchecked. So it's not the kids' fault. It's the people in places that's in place that could have made it where something like that would have never happened. I mean, you don't even see that type of ruckus at a Ku Klux Klan rally.
Now,
You don't
what
see that. You don't see that type of ruckus in no other function other than amongst black people. Why is that?
now what do you say about the people who were there? And a lot of people were saying that the police were just letting it happen. They was watching kids just get beat down, and police is just standing there watching it.
Well, that's true because I've done a couple of those events in which I've went to the areas where those young kids be mounting up or young adults be mounting up, and I've talked to them. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I was on 43rd and Crenshaw one year near the McDonald's, and I was talking to the little kids over there, and I was telling them, "Nah, man, we not doing that. We not turning up. Whoop de whoop de whoop." And they responded, and they shook the spot. But the police was right there watching them act up because for them that's overtime. And then they the wrong selection to protect because they the wrong complexion. So them police that's watching them, they just waiting on the command to shoot and kill. So those are real agents, assassins, and their job is to what they call serve and protect. So I believe in my heart truly that there has to be a system in place where we as adults, because we can't continue to rely on those who don't rely on us for nothing other than incarceration and death. And we having our children acting out. It just goes to show you where there's no real structure in the household. And then poverty creates all those type of symptoms. But you got to remember too, there's two sides to every coin. And on the other side of the coin, what you see demonic behavior that comes from us having certain circumstances in our life where we give birth to children from people that just don't have good spirits. And you get the reaction. Don't say all of them, but let's just keep it a buck. It's a mama somewhere right now arguing with her son. I be seeing them on the internet cursing their mamas out and all that. Son, you gonna regret that. When you disrespect your parents, that's bad luck.
Hmm.
Let me do my Dr. Umar thing again. When you disrespect your parents, when you disrespect your parents, that's bad luck. The Bible tell you honor your mother and your father. So when your mama telling you something, you better listen, son, because at the end of the day, like Cube say, only one gonna be there for you is your grandma and your mom. When your grandmama and your mom in the front of the court building, in the front of the courtroom with a Bible. That's it. Then you're gonna be up in that place where they ain't got no pistols. Then everything you do from that day on is gonna be dependent on that court system. Because to me, you trying to prove to us that you hard, but you're gonna be trying to prove to that DA that you a good person. And I'm telling you, stay out them spots, man. This ain't the time to be incarcerated. Not that the way the world is going now. I had brothers calling me from Katrina in Louisiana. God is my witness. Flood was up to their nose, homie. Police locked the door and left.
Locked their door and left.
So when you get to talking about demon kids, that's one thing. You talk about God kids, that's another. But the ones that's in the middle and purgatory trying to figure their way out, those are the ones you better concentrate on. But you better not get a bunch of gray hair and investment into the ones that's not listening, because the game gonna send them a bill. It's inevitable. It's not an admonishment in the sense that we trying to tell you what to do. We trying to let you know, like Pac says, it's okay to run the streets, but watch the stop sign, son, because Shorty want to be a thug. And when you get up in there dealing with them people, it get real wicked up in there with them folks, man. So respect your parents. If you don't like what they doing, move out. Go start you a life, man. Go get you a cool house, a spot, a little job, or whatever, a business, for real. Because it sound corny now. But when them peoples get hold of you, or that graveyard get hold of you, or your folks start coming up dead, then it's on you. So to you parents out there, man, it's got, I ain't gonna mention no names, but I got a distant family member that's straight shaitan. I ain't even gonna give him the courage to mention his name. And it ain't cool. So I know what I'm talking about. Where you raise somebody up and they get disrespectful. But I want to let him know, son, you got bad luck coming to you for that. When you start bringing home stepchildren and dealing with women that got other children, you got to expect some different stuff, man. Or you coming home from the pen and you've been gone a long time, you coming home trying to correct your son, you can't do that because it's going to backfire on you. So my stepson that crossed me, he could never talk to me again in life. To me, he's a wicked seed. He's a demon seed. And he could never, never, never talk to me because I don't bring home frozen rattlesnakes too often and put them near the fireplace so they can thaw out and bite me. And the more that you remember that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, then you understand what I'm talking about. But get away from them low vibration people. You don't have to deal with that. Straight out. You got your kids throwing tantrums and whatnot. You got to remember how your household is operating. I know it don't sound like that now because if it did, it would have never got to this point. But the book you reading, I wrote. So I ain't speaking from non-experience. I'm speaking from real truth and experience based on life. Stop it and get to living because you only live once, really twice, once when you're born and once when you die. Then your karma messed up. But you got these disrespectful ass kids out here, man, and young adults. Y'all better check yourself. Tell my man, oh, y'all old. That's why. Because y'all don't live long. Because you're not listening to the rules. And we apologize for misguiding you. This ain't an indictment. This is an enlightenment. Stop trying to emulate people that you're really not familiar with. Get on course so you ain't got to do 200 years, 175 years, doing the same routine thing every day. And then you mama, stop sleeping with them suckers. And the brothers out there and the sisters taking on step kids, man, that's just buck wild and disrespectful, man, you better make better choices. Because you're going to find yourself in a murky situation.
Let's talk about, was it Rhea something, but the lady who lived at her husband's grave or moved to her husband's grave.
Well, she didn't move there in the sense that we know it. She had a situation in which you guys can research it, where her husband passed away. Quiet. Her husband passed away, unfortunately, on the day that their house closed when they was trying to purchase a house. How unfortunate is that? This is why it's important that we thank God for our lives and the struggles that we have. Because God don't put a struggle on us that we don't have the strength to bear. But her husband passed away, and she had to utilize the down payment for her house in order to facilitate getting him a tombstone and a proper burial. Well, as a result of that, she was sleeping at the location in which her husband was buried in the cemetery, I think for like 6 months, in a very cold climate. So that's what you call dedication, man. But it's unfortunate to live in the richest country that has ever existed on the planet. And we have people that are sleeping in the cemeteries where they buried their loved ones. So consequently, then comes along a good police officer, kind of like that siren you hear in the background. And he got a situation where he did a GoFundMe page. God bless you, man. From a convict to a policeman that's a human being, let's just say from one human being to the next. You was a real angel, homie. When you stepped in and you took that sister and you made her where her life can be better. God gonna bless you for that. So this ain't got nothing to do with your occupation. So from the Wild Moguls team, you get the Police of the Week award, homie. Because you did that for a black lady. And they got her a new spot.
Wow.
Now fast forward to a couple of days ago. So you have to pay attention to what's going on. And that's why I'm appealing to Charlemagne the God. And we have to talk about that. Because they have the access and the reach in order to facilitate putting out something like Wild Moguls that can reach the masses of people and then make life better for others so they don't have to live a siren-based life for the rest of them lives. So it's important that you remember, like one brother, I think it was in Houston, a market owner. He came outside and one of his customers was outside frozen to death. Not to death, but frozen. She was so frozen to where they couldn't even lift her up. It was like a rock. And they took her inside the store, called paramedics, of course, but the lady literally had to thaw out. And she's been outside frozen. This is the coldest weather in America in history right now. So shout out to all y'all out there dealing with that cold weather, man. If you got an extra blanket or something, or some gloves or some of them hand warming things, man, do something kind in your life and give them to somebody poor, man, that's outside. Because you just a paycheck away from it like me. But shout out to that police. Shout out to that brother that had that market in Houston. And then also I want to remind y'all of people who get money to help the homeless and poor, like that gentleman here in Los Angeles recently who was buying himself new Range Rovers. Uh, he was buying homes in other countries with the money that was given to him by the city and the state, $23 million to facilitate feeding the homeless. But yet, instead, on the contrary, this dude took the money and bought him a new Range Rover, bought him another home, living in Brentwood. But then you see me and my friends outside every day trying to feed the poor. And we black. But y'all don't give this to us, but you give it to people of other descents. Not to mention he was hot. So he's a piece of shit in my eyes. How you gonna get all this money and then turn around and feed the homeless people, regardless of race, creed, or color, and you feed them top ramen? Use an animal. You took the money and you ran off. Use an animal.
Well,
And
they said there's $27 billion missing from the California homeless initiative.
well, it's more than that. But what it is, it's called the fleecing of America. And when you get the fleecing of America, this is the results of that. This is what they do. You know, people are stealing money and not providing the services to the poor like they're supposed to. And this gentleman here just got busted by the police the other day for this. See, this is when you say law enforcement is an intelligent component. When you go after animals like that, that's when you see the public respond in such a way that they say you did that. Because here it is in Los Angeles. We've been out here for almost 30 years. And my friend Daoud's mother in Watts and all them places, they've been feeding the poor for years, man. Almost practically for free. Real food. Then you get this professional organizer and extrapolator and grifter of the poor, and he performs these type of operations on us. He's disgusting. So you guys Google his name. I don't even want to mention his name, give credence to him. But he took 20 and bought a Range Rover and a house in another country. How you do that? Who was behind you with that?
Nah, it's greed on a whole nother level. How about we was talking about off camera a dope dealer that was eating on a dead body like it was like a plate.
Well, let me stand to be corrected. This is part of that demon seed I'm telling you about. Children that's born null of love, no understanding, hot-headed, stiff-necked, and rebellious. A person was selling narcotics in Memphis. The individual overdosed, in which they thought they were dead. These dudes was having a buffet on top of the body, laid on the table. Used his body as a table. So you ladies be taking these cats home and dating them and thinking they cool. It be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You better do a sex offenders check on these cats before you take them home. Just be real with you. And definitely do some kind of background check on his DNA and his family structure before you start having children. That way you don't have these disrespectful children like the one that I encountered. And I raised this little rat from a puppy. And he became disrespectful. And I told him, you banned from my funeral. And if he say anything slick on this next one, I'm gonna give y'all his name. But he did the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen do to a human being that's one, God is the reason you're alive, and two, me. So to you, I wish the worst happened to you. You know why? Because that's what you want. And you leave God's people alone. I'm not perfect, but don't tolerate disrespect from your children. Put them prayers on them for the good and the bad. But when they get out of pocket, you be careful and watch who you have these babies by.
Yeah, we was talking off camera. Charlemagne the God signed a real big deal. I think a couple 100 million with iHeart.
First and foremost, congratulations to the brother. Peace, God. This God himself, Malik. Second of all, I'm glad that iHeart did that because it shows that they're reaching out to people like him and us and others. But I have a personal message to Charlemagne the God, if he's willing to listen. Hopefully, you'll get this message, beloved. And then we could talk further in the event that you accept an invitation to sit down. But, Charlemagne, you're in a position now to where you can help brothers in podcasts like us on the West Coast get the message out to make the lives of people here in other locations much better with just one thought. And it's important that when you get deals like that you show parity and then you reach back if you can, because you're known for reaching back. I know people that you have put on and made it to where they can get the message out in such a way that they don't have to work as hard and be a part of something positive that's growing, and it'll take a lot of weight off of you. So I'm challenging you, Mrs. Charlemagne. You notice we don't do disrespect here on Wild Moguls. We don't do fault and errors. We're not interested in that. What we're interested in is seeing if we can help further this message through these YouTube channels about the struggles of people from all walks of life, in all religions and political backgrounds, based on the experiences that we have encountered here in Los Angeles. And you have the power to do it. As you notice, we don't have very many options, and those that do have the power to put the messages out that can make the lives of people much different and do some enlightening at the same time don't participate in the type of conversations that we have. Why? That's that's beyond my imagination why. But we can only speak on our struggles here, from stopping gang violence to homelessness, political issues, and issues that other states and podcasts wish they could have information to spread in terms of the good things that go on here in Los Angeles and anywhere on the West Coast. But we don't have that reach. You do. And it's not about currency, and it's not about opportunity, fame, or fortune. Because if you do Google my name, Malik Spellman, you'll notice that I've did it in radio, TV, and print. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, and I've only utilized my talents to further the existence of other people, sort of like a stepfather, one who steps in place of the real father, or to fatten her, or to further another person's existence. So I'm challenging you just to a conversation, just a blank canvas conversation that you and I can sit down and have in regards to what could you possibly do or what you can't do in order to further Wild Moguls and other networks like us into a position to where we can get peace and tranquility in our neighborhood, have real voices, be a part of the iHeart family if that's necessary, and present to the public some things that will captivate their imagination. So I'm going to challenge you along with my self-invited viewers and followers, the minuscule amount that we have, to sit down and have this conversation at minimum with us. You're a very busy individual. We appreciate your time. And remember, power and education always correct errors. We both got body. So what we doing? And one more thing. Today is wisdom power, all being born to God, to 25th. I'll wait for you, brother. Have a great day.
Now we got something else for you. What's what is your reaction and your response to the Adam
Adam 22.
22 and Jason Love boxing match that lasted 22 seconds?
Well, it looks like one, I got to give them credit because they did get in the ring. As a man, you have to say that. Two, I think Adam don't really love Mr. Love like that because Mr. Love was loving on his woman. But at the end of the day, that's all really like good for the internet. But you see the difference on what they did? They had Anton and the other brother, Corey, dog face to dog face, breathing and hooping and hollering.
Mm-hmm.
But then the white boy, he knew he couldn't win, but he seen that bread. So he went and found him a brother that wasn't broken and said, "Come on, I'm mad at you." But that might be one of his fetishes to get whooped on and then go back to the woman that was being sexed by Mr. Love to get pampered. They do all sorts of weird things. Parental discretion advised. That might have just been one of his get down fantasies.
Get beat up by Jason.
But dude beat the pussy up, then he beat him up. So they wanted something in common, him and his woman. But good luck with that, Mr. Love. Now I'm looking forward to the cowboy fight. So it's better to do that and make some bread than to be led down the road like they led our brothers and had them fighting with the influence that they have that's so positive.
Now, who do you think is going to win between 600 and Cowboy?
The winner,
So you don't have no opinion?
that is my opinion. You asked me who's going to win, and I said the winner.
Now, who do you think is going to win between 600 and Cowboy?
The winner, whichever one's standing on the right vibrations. See, if you start a fight unnecessarily, you never win. You start a gunfight, most of the time, you never win. So whatever one is right, has the most positive vibration, I'm going to win. In my personal opinion, I'll keep it to myself. Because I've known Cowboy since he was a youngster. And if this was a sporting event, I would just say the winner's going to win. And that's it, and that's all. And I've had the opportunity to interview 600 before as a reporter in the alley on Slauson doing his thing. But these are the type of fights that you really can't lend any credence to in terms of who you rooting for or what, because there's so many different principles behind this battle. It's not necessarily a sport, but it's a way of expressing themselves freely without any reservation. But it's going to be interesting because of all the attachments that's known uh, on behalf of this situation. So it's going to be a good one. But you and I know what the outcome is going to be based on the income.
Based on the income.
The outcome's always based.
What's your views on this drama that's going on with Corey Holcomb and the female comedian that he hit?
Well, me personally, I don't really do those type of conversations because if you notice the beginning of your question said that he hit, I would say that he allegedly hit because of the fact I wasn't there. And then there's discrepancies that happens amongst different sexes every day. Do I condone hitting the women? Absolutely not. Do I know what went on between him and that woman that led to that? No, I don't. But I do know that I've observed the behavior of Mr. Daniels as well as the other gentleman, Mr. Holcomb. And I think that they should have handled that differently based on the influence that they have on the world and our community. So when I watch that type of behavior, I've met Mr. Holcomb a couple of times, in which he was a gentleman, very funny individual. Excuse me. Down. And consequently, this thing comes up later on. See, them brothers got to remember that they're going to be under attack like the rappers, like the sports players, because they're making progress. So somebody threw a monkey wrench of confusion in there and made them both look like two coon niggas on the air fighting. Because if they was really about that life, they'd have handled that like gentlemen beforehand. Everything doesn't require violent confrontation. I have moments where I want to do some of the things that others do, and I have those same violent propensities about myself, but it only regards for survival. But when I see a Holcomb and a Daniel, first of all, Antoine, I sent you a couple of inboxes or something to try to include the West Coast onto your shelf so that you can have a broader perspective. But my message to you and him, just like my message to Charlemagne, I'm going to do a message to you and him. You guys need to really think before you act. Not just you, but myself as well, included. Because what you represent is bigger than you. That's what they told me in the newsroom when I got into it with a rapper once before. And she went to the newsroom and tried to get me fired. And the news director said, Malik, this camera is like a gun. You aim it, you have the power. Okay? You guys have to remember who you're representing. It's bigger than you. With all the energy y'all put into that, it's definitely a need for me to be a part of you guys' function because you're missing something. And everything is not funny and everything is not serious. And then we don't have to over exaggerate some of our experiences with people that are not black. When they say that Anton caters to Caucasians and he backed down from a white man and didn't back down to the brother, and then the other brother allegedly hit some woman. Dude, y'all knock it off. You sound like high school kids. I've been to several gang related funerals, and I've dealt with every level of violence in the urban city you can imagine. From here to Chicago to Detroit, where you guys are from. Knock it off. You look foolish. You look childish. You riding in big cars, getting money. Stop personifying that image to people that really care without any self control. You got to really do better, man, because there's brothers like us that wish we had y'all subscribers to reach the people, the masses. So you're going to take that for granted? You got two warriors in each other's face with the whole world watching, looking like two raccoons fighting, two niggas, instead of two kings debating mathematics or Ferrari prices. Y'all sitting there screaming and hollering, one happy, one scared, the other one happy the police there. Knock it off. That's not 4-yard behavior. That's called buck breaking. Like Mike Epps said, you're only allowed to high sign on your own people. So that's what y'all doing. So you make us have to choose between which one of these discrepancies is real and which one isn't, while the whole world is watching. I'm learning from y'all how to do podcasting. Now I got to get up here and have a fight. I have a lot of violent propensities about myself, but I don't think I'll be displaying that in that fashion. Face to face, beard to beard, screaming, and at the end, y'all compromise. You did exactly what the Coon Master wanted you to do. Knock it off. I'm your brother. Invite me on your show so we can have some intellectually stimulating conversations. You making it like the rappers now. What's next? East Coast, West Coast? Y'all need a microphone? We got enough buffoonery on there right now and tomfoolery. We know the suspects. So you're going to fall right into that net of the suspects instead of making us laugh or telling us how to get a bag. Instead of letting us rock with you like you say, Antoine, and then getting the humor and the real true life experiences from the brother on the other side. Y'all knock it off, man. I've been doing Black Lives and poverty assistance for over 30 years. And when I see two black men going at it, it's disgusting. Do we have discrepancies? Yes. Is fighting prescribed by God? Yes. But just know your audience. Practice some class distinction. That's what Steve Harvey taught me. If I learned nothing else from Steve Harvey, who's a comedian and a social activist in his own right, he said, Malik, the problem with black people is that they don't know class distinction. Perfect example. When Tom Cruise is getting on the stage to get his award, Tom Cruise get up there, he get the microphone, the award, he push. But when MC Hammer on the stage getting an award, it's 1,000 people want to be on there behind him, don't have nothing to do with that. See, MC Hammer was a genius. MC Hammer was connected to the internet long before we knew anything about it because he was dealing with them people that got that bread and that power, them Facebook people and all them. And I can remember one time when he went to Snoop's trial, Tupac was with him, had the whole Death Row family with him. And I seen brother MC Hammer. I didn't know him like that, but I used to have a lot of people say you and MC Hammer got the funny hair, all the MC Hammer jokes. And I was like, Hammer, like I did Muhammad Ali that time, man, I'll whoop on you, I'll knock you out. And I don't know if he did like this, but he threw a jab at me, man, looked like a stealth bomber. You don't want to get into it with MC Hammer. He's not your average rapper. He's a father. He's well respected in his town. You won't leave out of Oakland playing with him. He's made all kinds of social contributions when he was up to the civil engagement with helping the police get better equipment, to helping the community. There was nothing that Oakland or those areas couldn't do that they couldn't depend on Hammer to help him with. Then when he lost his bread, all you suckers turned y'all back on him. See, I'm not an MC Hammer fan. I'm the type that's an MC Hammer type of man, so I know what he's going through. Then he bounced back. But Hammer ain't the dude to play with. He set the precedence for what you see today in music and dance and performance. That's a performance. That's entertainment. And it wasn't discrepancy free, but you knew not to play with him because before he was a rapper, he was a real man in them streets. And them Oakland dudes and them dudes up in them towns will roll you up behind him because he's fair. He done fed their babies. He's like Felix Mitchell was, God bless his soul, former drug dealer, they allege. Took care of the whole town. He ain't like that sucker that was in Philadelphia. I ain't even gonna call him a brother. I'm gonna call him a coon master who burnt up that household and named Mr. Savage. That was his name. I think they gave him like 16 death penalties or something. Crazy, 6.
What's his name?
Last name Savage. Over some discrepancy he had, and he burnt up the house of someone and had all them babies and whatnot burnt up in there and had his sister involved. Those are the type of demon seeds that I'm talking about. Y'all look it up.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So we gotta really separate the real from the fake, man. The junk from the funk, man. We don't have no time left on the clock to even play with contemplating how we're gonna handle these demon seeds. We don't have no time for low vibrations. We don't have that type of wartime in our chest. And in the Quran, it says, did I not make the earth spacious enough for you to get away from these suckers? So sometimes you just got to get away from evil and wickedness because they call it the purgatory. They call it the purgatory of confusion. And that's important, especially to you sisters out there. I'm going to start with you first. And the relationships that you know is a waste of time. You ain't getting no positive vibration. You got a man that go tongue to tongue with you arguing, lip wrestling and some more shit. And then at the end of the day, your children watching, they scared to death. Because I'm speaking from personal experience. Trying to be a stepfather, trying to be a good man. You be careful with that. Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. All you brothers out there that's got them sons, man, that don't listen, you can only do so much. Because everywhere they go, guess what? Your kids gonna take themselves with them. So you gotta be careful with that, man, how much energy you put into these low vibrations. And this is just me talking to you. This does not reflect that of our sponsors, the network, or the interviewer. But I really feel for you because your nerves is shot. You don't know when the coroner gonna call there. I know what you're going through. But you youngsters out there twisting your fingers and braiding your hair and ain't listening, please stop and say, man, OG telling us some real shit. You better get to living, get you a fishing pole. You better change your moves because they play chess, not checkers. And then once they got you, it's checkmate. And you sisters just putting all this energy because you want to be in love or have a man and you just want to take home anything or, you got something that ain't respecting you. I'm telling you this because I've been one of every type of Negro you could think of, except for a homosexual. Other than that, I done did it. So I'm telling you, switch gears on them. You don't have to retire, you just got to renegotiate, press reset. Or do you just really want to deal with all this confusion every day? You don't get some sage in your house and take your shoes off and be thankful for what you got. We just talked about a bunch of scenarios of people being found frozen to death, like the little sister that was frozen to death near LAX we talked about. Because this asshole done ate up the money and this lady getting told no that she don't have no housing or shelter available, so her and her children freeze to death. The baby freeze to death. Come on, man, knock it off. So until next time, Wild Moguls, Lighter Man and Ledger Man and all the sisters and brothers that subscribe to our channel that really looked out for us, man, that to be defending some of the stuff that we just can't fully get accurate because of selective amnesia. Maybe rock with that, man. But to you two brothers on there podcasting, looking like Negroes with all the intellectual power and influence you got, that shit is uncouth. And Charlemagne, we'll be waiting, partner. Because this is not disrespect. We're not begging. We don't need that. We'll just keep piping. But it would be great to work with you and not against you to see what we can come up with to make the West Coast and the East Coast much better. Because you know what the acronym P stands for. Power and education, always correct errors. And that's what we do as God body. So this is a special open letter to you, Brother Charlemagne, and I'll wait for your response. Have a good day.